And so, too, just as we began the program talking about Bill Pepe the Frog Barr to prosecution and how he found no evidence of voter fraud in the investigation, it turns out that behind everything that looks like it might be reasonably decent, there is, of course, something looming and nasty. And that's this. In that same interview that he gave to the Associated Press, Bill Barr also said that he had elevated the status of an old dude by the name of John Durham from Connecticut. It was back in October when Barr named him special counsel to look into dirty tricks relating to the Russia investigation. Russia. Only Durham's brief was not to look into or to continue to look into the things that were revealed by, say, Robert Mueller when he decided to mail in his investigation because he determined at the outset that he wasn't going to do anything about any criminality by Donald Trump because he decided that that nasty-ass piece of Office of Legal Counsel advisory opinion from the 1970s and Richard Nixon that says you can't indict a sitting president controlled him, Robert Mueller. And so that even if he found evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump had killed Cock Robin and kidnapped the Lindbergh baby, that he wouldn't bring any charges because OLC opinion. But nonetheless, he did include no less than 9, or was it 10, specific instances where anybody else would have been charged with the federal offense of obstruction of justice. Well, John Durham wasn't appointed for anything like that. Oh, hell no. Are you kidding me? John Durham was appointed to investigate the people who investigated the Trump campaign and all of the nefarious doings that they had with Russia and with their Russian cronies. And, of course, it came to not much of anything, but it's also not over. So with the Trump maladministration wrapping up, Durham has been given more leeway to investigate FBI agents who investigated potentially illegal and maybe treasonous activity by senior and not so senior members of the Trump administration. And that's what it's narrowed to, according to Bill Barr. So, here's the catch. Barr told the Associated Press, I decided the best thing to do, Ribbit, would be to appoint them under the same regulation that covered Bob Mueller to provide Durham, Ribbit, and his team some assurance, Ribbit, that they'd be able to complete their work regardless of the outcome of the election. So the bottom line there, Truth Seeker, is that we're going to have John Durham lurking around the corners of the Biden administration, even as this country might even think about trying to move on from that long, deadly nightmare that we know as the last 4 years. Because, see, we're still waiting. Joe Biden's announced who his Treasury Secretary is going to be. We know who We know who's going to be, or who he wants to be, at the Office of Management and Budget. We know who he wants to be second in command at Treasury. We're still waiting to find out who the Attorney General's going to be. And the list is said to have narrowed. But this is a nasty little piece of typical Republican dirty work. Because John Durham is going to be the ultimate mole. John Durham can't be fired. Well, I mean, okay. According to the Code of Federal Regulations, a special counsel can be fired. I misspoke to a certain extent there. He can be fired, but the only person who can fire him is the Attorney General. And the Attorney General has yet to be named. So that will probably be the leading question on the lips of every godforsaken maggot senator when the Senate Judiciary Committee sits down to hold confirmation hearings on whomever it is that Joe Biden appoints. Well, sir or ma'am, can you give assurances to this committee that you won't fire John Durham, even though he was appointed with, well, you know the drill. And whereas if you're a Republican, because the old adage of IOKIYAR, it's okay if you're a Republican, holds true. Whereas Bill Barr in his confirmation hearing could tap dance around and perhaps even outright perjure himself under questioning by then Senator Kamala Harris. Well, those standards will not apply to whomever Joe Biden appoints to be Attorney General. And so just as, so many years ago, we heard Benghazi, but her emails, we're going to hear, but what about John Durham's investigation? And there will be absolutely afactual pieces on Fox News, TV, Radio Rwanda, Newsmuck, and Onan, the network that spills its news upon the ground, day after day after day and night after night after night. Because while the special counsel can be fired, the special counsel can't be fired for anything other than overt misconduct, dereliction of duty, or conflict of interest. And if the Attorney General decides to terminate that individual, then the Attorney General must state in writing the reasons for such termination. Does anybody remember a guy named Ken Starr? Because dadgummit, I do. A little low-rent pettifogger who got elevated to special counsel to look into a failed land deal in godforsaken Arkansas, and kept going back and getting his brief expanded until the next thing you knew, we were talking about stains on blue dresses. And again, right-wing hate radio and TV was all aflame with, "Oh, my friends, the flag is falling. What I want to know is, how do we explain a lying president to our children? Why, I don't have any of my own. I really, my friends, I have half my brain tied behind my back. But, well, there's something, it didn't need to be tied up. I keep my wife in a pit, in my third or fourth or fifth or whatever it is I'm on. But I've heard from good, God-fearing, upstanding, Bible-believing Christian Republicans who say we can hardly turn the TV on now without hearing about the terrible, terrible, sexy time doings of Billy Blythe Clinton. The point here And it's little different from the point of what Steve Mnuchin did or what Mike Pompeo, he graduated first in his class at West Point, The point here is to screw the democratically elected incoming president of the United States before he's even in office. Now, even though Bill Barr, and I've got my little prophesying hat on here, even though Bill Barr said he didn't find any evidence of voter fraud, you want to bet that John Durham will keep digging until he finds a stained lilac dress or plaid, my favorite color. Because this is how they operate. This is the filthy business that forms the core of the entire nature of the Republican Party. And has, okay?